Voice Cup, a tournament that includes 8 invited streamers with their respective teams and 16 community teams that paid 15 euros to enter. Every team has to build a roster based on a point system where each player's rank counts for a certain amount of points. For example, if you're iron, you're gonna count as 1 point, if you're gold, you're gonna count as 15 points, if you're diamond, you're 30 points, and if you're challenger, you're 60 points. Teams are limited to 100 points per 5 players. If you have a team of 7 players, you can have up to 150 points. It's meant to be a fun and fair organized tournament. Before we start, here's a quick breakdown of what I'm gonna talk about in this video. First, I'm gonna talk about who I am, why am I making this video, and then we'll go through the issues, from censorship to smurfs to biased punishments, everything. My name is Darky and I was one of the participants in this tournament, and if you don't know me, I make coaching videos here on this channel and I also have a small League of Legends community. I joined the tournament because it seemed like a really good idea to bring people together, especially on a Portuguese environment which is very small. But what happened made me feel that I couldn't stay silent. One of the first issues that I found was that there was a team that was clearly using Smurf accounts. Specifically, players that were Master and Grandmaster were on Platinum accounts to bypass the point system. This team, os Fazarianos, had a top laner that was Platinum that resisted in the tournament with only 5 ranked games. However, after a scrim that we had against that team, he privately messaged me asking me for champion pool to climb above Master Elo, affirming that he was a Master Peak player. Obviously, I spoke with FaZe about this, and he admitted that he knew that 5 main members of this team were all Master Plus, and some of the other teams had already contacted him about this. But he said that he couldn't do anything because the rules didn't specify what the main account is. I must admit that I was a bit naive at this because I respected the decision and just thought that he was following the rules. In our second match, we played against the Quakers, and before the game I noticed that there was a player that wasn't on their official roster, not the 5 main members and not on the substitutes. But we played the match anyway. When I brought this to FaZe, he confirmed it. He admitted that he personally allowed it because he thought it was the best decision at the time. But here's the problem. A day earlier, we spoke about os Fazarians having Smurfs on the team, and that many teams complained about this, and that FaZe couldn't do anything because of the rules of the tournament. So why is he bypassing the rules to put one more member on a team when they already have 7? Couldn't a substitute play on the team? This already shows a lot of inconsistency in the tournament and started to feel very unfair. At this point, it became clear that rules weren't being applied in the same way for everyone. And well, just a few days later, I asked to replace my mid laner because he got a job offer, which is a valid reason, right? He couldn't play the tournament. But this time he said no. Suddenly, the rules were strict again. And the reasoning is that the Quakers made the change before an official match, even though it was after the deadline. As ours, our mid laner already played 2 matches. But what is the difference? Couldn't the Quakers play with the other 2 substitutes? I don't understand. Why is one team allowed flexibility and another denied for the same request? This feels like favoritism for me. When the rules are started to being applied based on a personal judgment instead of fairness, the tournament loses its credibility. On June 20th, things escalated really fast because my AD carry got into an argument on the Discord server. And she said a lot of insults, and I'm not gonna defend her here, obviously, but she got punished for it. But here's the deal. There were a lot of people in that conversation, and a lot of them were toxic. There were people calling other dogs, saying that they don't have a dad, and bringing up figures like Hitler. And only my teammate got punished for it. What the fuck? Even worse, the next day when everything was fine, there was no more drama on the chat, a guy brought the drama again and even called dogs people that hadn't spoken, that only reacted to a message. And he received no punishment at all. And when someone pointed out that this was supposed to be a community tournament and questioned the lack of moderation, Blaze simply deleted the message and said, "All kids, I'm tired of this." At this point, we clearly know that punishments are not applied to everyone. After seeing all these issues, biased punishments, favoritism, rule breaking, and smurfing, I decided it was enough and I would take action into this. So I privately contacted every captain in the tournament to know if they would support a respectful meeting to discuss these problems with Foyz. 19 of them agreed to do so. Then I contacted Foyz on the DMs to ask if he was against the idea, and he told me to open a ticket. I opened a ticket on this server, and he told me to say all the names of the captains that agreed and show me the print of the conversations. And I'm like, what? First, why does he need the prints of the conversations to agree to a reunion to talk about his own tournament? And second, I'm not gonna send the prints without permission from the captains, obviously. I explained to him this, and he told me that every captain should open a ticket. And I'm like, no group chat, no transparency, just individual complaints? How is that gonna help? At this point, it really felt that he didn't want to fix things. He wanted to control the tickets and silence everyone who disagreed with him. In the same night that I created the ticket, I was banned and blocked by Flaze, without any explanation, without any DM, without anything. But I still believed that things could still be handled calmly and constructively. So, I took the initiative and created a Discord server completely on my own and designed around transparency and fairness. I made the server with organized channels, a welcome message and a clear guide on how to use it, a full summary of the situation, detailed section with evidence about smurfing, favoritism, biased punishments, etc., a space for captains to share their opinion and even vote on how they felt about each issue. The idea was never to cause drama, it was to create a safe and neutral space for everyone to be heard, especially those who were afraid to be silenced or were afraid to talk alone about the things. If I wanted drama, I could just expose instantly everything to everyone instead of trying to create a reunion with respect with all the captains and the Foyz himself. Once the Discord was ready, I sent an invite to every captain, and since I was blocked by Foyz, I told someone to send him an invite too. He joined, but instead of collaborating, he mocked the project, and instead of answering the questions of the people with proof, he just disrespected me and quickly left the server. But before he left, captains asked him some things. Why was Darky banned? Blaze replied that it was due to toxicity and he disrespected all the staff. But when asked for proof, he just said that he didn't have to prove anything in a server like this. Also, captains pointed out that one player was clearly playing at the master tier level despite being registered as platinum. Blazerian's captain claimed that the player had an Emerald account with over 50 games per week, but in reality, the account only had 5 games, it hadn't played League since 3 weeks ago. The actual player's main is a Master Tier account that even played customs with Flaze on stream, and even Flaze admitted on call that the team's main lineup was Master Plus. But here, he still refused to act because the rules didn't mention what the main account is. And captains who tried to be diplomatic were ignored. One even said that the Discord wasn't about drama, it was about trying to make the tournament better. Which he replied that Darky didn't have to do the server. If you have any questions, you can just open a ticket on my server. The thing is, those tickets didn't do anything in the past. What makes you think that they are going to do anything now? It just sounds that Foyz is avoiding serious issues here. And beyond the attitude, serious questions were left unanswered. Why was Darky banned without proof? Why are Smurfs and unfair teams being protected? Why are paying participants seeing the rules change mid tournament? And why are some teams allowed to add players while others aren't? If you remember, we tried to run community votes for each issue to understand if it was okay or not. But since the chat volume was so big that it had like 500 long messages, it was impossible to do so because obviously every captain is not gonna have time to read all those messages. And that's one of the reasons that I'm making this video because it's 10 times easier to just watch a video than digest like 500 walls of text, and it's also very accessible to everyone if you're a viewer, an organizer, a streamer, so like no one has to go through this again. At the end of the day, this is not about me or only about this tournament. It's about what happens when an event that is supposed to bring people together becomes an uncountable, unfair, and controlled by someone who refuses to listen to the community itself. I joined this tournament because the idea was really good. Like, if you're bronze or challenger, it's still gonna be a fun event and competitive because of the point system. But seeing that people are cheating at first, do nothing about it, and then when we try to speak about things, Face just tries to cancel us and doesn't give any reply with proof, just makes everything like unplayable and very unfun, honestly. I didn't do this video randomly. It's not only about this tournament, it's because there's a lot of tournaments that have these issues and no one speaks about them. So they continue to happen and continue to happen without any punishment. And I think these regions like Portugal that are very small, they really need these community tournaments because it's what brings the community together and helps it grow. But only if the person that is creating them is transparent and fair to everyone. Especially when it's a paid tournament, like 16 of the teams paid for the tournament, they at least deserve answers, fairness, and respect, and not silence, censorship, and they shouldn't be afraid to talk about this. If you're a viewer, a player, or a future organizer, I hope this clarifies things for you and prevents the same mistakes from happening. I think competitives should be for everyone, not just for people that are close to the host. Thank you for watching, and I also want to thank the people that supported the fairness when it was mostly needed. And I just want to mention that the reason why there wasn't a video on Monday was because of this drama. Anyways, the channel will go back to normal now, and I won't talk about this event never again. And since I don't know when am I gonna show myself again, I can't lose this opportunity. Look at these chicken wings, man. Boo! Boo!